Good afternoon, collectors. Thanks for joining us on Leighton's Loft this week. Wednesday, February 17th, with my co-host, Lou. Apologize for being a few minutes late, but you know how technology can be sometimes, a little lazy, a little tired.
That's right.
Or just, simply unplug it, plug it back in, and sometimes it just works.
Cody's here. How we doing, Cody? Hope you're doing okay out there.
I wanted to wish a very special happy birthday to Michael Jordan.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. It's a Gatorade commercial.
Oh, God.
Man, I loved this commercial back in the day.
That's right. I remember now. Yep.
So happy birthday, Michael.
How old is Mike now?
58.
Wow.
58 years old. I got a few Jordan cards to show off, some other goodies as well. And I got a fun show planned for today, folks. Thanks for joining us. Hope everyone is having a good week so far. A lot of great stuff going on in the hobby.
Yeah.
As you know it is changing every minute. Hey, what's up, Nick? Brandon, Minnesota Husker, Jason, CB, and the rest of the gang. Thanks for joining us. We do have a storm bearing down apparently tomorrow. I don't know what we're going to do. I'm tired of having to make alternative arrangements for weather.
Yeah.
And you know what, Lou? What keeps me in check? We've been having to make alternative arrangements for COVID for quite some time now as well. So I just figured we got to roll with it,
Yep, that's right.
So first off, thanks for joining us today, folks. And for those of you that are new or going to be listening to this after we upload it to all of the wonderful platforms that host our podcast and many others. The one catch is if you enjoy the content after the fact, after we're uploaded to the podcast universe, the major difference is you won't have a chance to win any of the 7 prizes. What's up, CK? That we give away every week here on Leighton's Loft. They're generally card related. Sometimes they have to do with a break credit. All having to do with vintage breaks and just collecting the hobby in general. So thanks very much for being here all. And if you get a chance and you're listening to this afterwards, you want to check us out live, you'll also have a chance to win one of our 7 weekly prizes. Oh, I would love to do that, Chris. Moving to San Diego. I almost moved to San Diego directly after college, and life would have been a little bit different potentially.
Is that where Chris is, in San Diego?
Yep, he's in Cali. I believe he's in the San Diego area. What's up, Melch? Ernie, what's going on, Bob?
I honeymooned in San Diego.
Yeah, I mean, I love San Diego. It's great.
And we missed Tijuana. We drove into Mexico and somehow missed Tijuana and ended up down on the Baja Peninsula somewhere. I have no idea where we were.
Interesting. I was not on my honeymoon in Aruba. However, I've been to Aruba several times. And one of the most interesting times I had on vacation was, this was the time I said to Julie, I think we were married at the time, I don't remember. I said, honey, we're not only going to rent a car, we're going to get the Jeep, but we're going to take it off-road a little bit. Yep. So we did. And we got stuck on the beach. We got some help from the locals and threw down a bunch of beers with them. At the end of the day, it was quite the ordeal. We were very stressed.
Yeah.
About I didn't know what was going to happen. We're literally, I have to buy a new car for the rental company if it gets swept out to the ocean.
Yeah, right. Or.
Oh, but I mean, this guy was great. He had I think he had his daughter with him. She was on the side just watching it. And I just said to the guy, dude, whatever you want me to do, I'll do, because I got no answers. The guy had wood plank, boards.
Yep.
And I didn't really understand what he was saying. I just kind of followed his lead. And, gave him a nice tip at the end. And then we went to the store. We grabbed a bunch of beers and, basically hung out.
Wait a second. That was a Jeep that you got stuck on the beach?
Yeah.
How do you get a Jeep stuck on the beach?
That's the question, Lou. That's the question. Yeah, apparently, even though I have an SUV, I did not know how to use it properly. To be fair, if I didn't understand what the gentleman was saying. So, all I know is I messed up. No one else did. I'm having my wife put unbearable pressure on me. On top of which I'm thinking oh my God, this thing's ruined. I'm gonna have to buy this Jeep. It's just, I don't know. I didn't feel that great about it. In other words, there was no accident. I drove it on there.
Right. Yeah, no.
So like insurance, I don't know how that works.
It's perfectly reasonable with a Jeep, too. A Jeep, you should get on and off the beach.
That's what I would have told their counsel if we had gone that far.
Hey, EJ, good to see you.
What up, Mike? So anyway, folks, I wanted to share our first place prize this week. I think it's pretty cool. And it also serves as a reminder to everyone who is in our Vintage Breaks community and also watches, Just Collect and what we're doing in the baseball card space, that we're constantly buying cards. But we also really like to buy cards from our community, meaning our Vintage Breaks community, from our Just Collect community. So this Gary Carter 1975 Topps Mini Rookie SGC7 that I'm showing off here on cam.
Up there?
Yeah, take your time. This is going to be first place this week, and this was bought from one of our fellow Vintage Breaks members. And as you can see, very sharp, just a little bit off center, thus the reason for the SGC7.
Mm-hmm.
So that will be first place this week.
Who's the guy in the lower left there?
Lower left is Danny Meyer.
Danny Meyer.
I don't know any of them other than Gary Carter.
Yeah.
Like, legitimately, I don't think I've ever heard of any of them.
Oh, it's Gary Carter. That's all you need.
Yep, Gary Carter rookie, Hall of Famer. So that's going to be first place. So once again, folks, if you ever have, cards or, graded or anything along those lines that you're looking to sell, you're going to get break credit, maybe trade for something in our eBay store, or, for that matter, just get a break credit to the site. Whatever the case is, we're up for it. Lou, if you don't mind dropping my email address in the chat, Leighton at justcollect.com. That's how you folks can contact me directly.
Yep, we'll put it in the chat too.
And so that Gary Carter 75 Topps Mini Rookie is going to be first place this week. Second place is going to be a $25 break credit. The next two spots will be a BAM spot in our Breakamaniacs appreciation promo, where we're going to give away two spots in that promo. You can have a chance to win a $1,500 break credit. That promo ends not this Sunday, but next Sunday, February 28th at 10 o'clock. And then the last three prizes will be a $10 break credit to vintagebreaks.com. And if you spend that before February 28th, you'll also get yourself a guaranteed spot in our buying spot promo that ends on February 28th with 25 prizes.
Very nice.
Yep, so we're looking forward to the big event. If you want to see all the details on the big event, all the prizes are given away and how it works, the rules, so on and so forth, you can check out event.vintagebreaks.com. All right, so I wanted to show off two cards, Lou, first, because we always, hey, what's up, Billy? I feel like we talked a lot last week and we have plenty to talk about this week, but I wanted to show off a few cards first.
Yeah.
So this, to me, has always been one of my favorites. It is none other than Newt Rockne. He does not have that many cards. He is in the National Chickle set. However, I decided I'm not necessarily going to put together the Sport King set, but I already have the Ruth. I already have the Cobb. I don't have the Thorpe, but I have a few others. So I'm going to hang on to this. This is a 1933 Sport King gum. It's the same company, Lou, that made the 1933 Gaudy set with the roof.
Oh, yeah.
Newt Rockne, former Notre Dame great. Love
Same
this card.
aspect ratio, right? But
I'm sorry?
It's the same aspect ratio as the 33 Gaudis, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next card I'm going to show off was something that I just purchased recently. Yep, exactly. A little show and tell, not show and sell. But next week, Lou, we're going to let the cat out of the bag a little bit. Next week, we're not having that. It's a few weeks, and we're going to have that offer on, right?
Yeah, March 10th, I believe.
Great. So, Lou, we're going to talk about it in the next few minutes. Next week, I want to do a little show and sell, a little deal or no deal. And so I want people to get their graded cards ready for next week's Loft.
Oh, great. And what we'll do is we'll send out a link. And if you've used Zoom before, you can actually come on the show live, show us your card, and, do a little sales pitch?
Exactly. So we're going to get into that in just a minute, Lou. We're going to tell everyone how we're going to handle it. This one is just now a show and tell, as this next card I'm not going to be selling. However, Chris Coe, if you're watching, I know you're really into data, and I have not even revealed this to Chris. Chris and I often text several times a week and nerd out about cards and data. It's really fun. One of the things that we've not talked about, and I purposely held this for him because I wanted to buy a few cards first before I announced this publicly. Not that I have too much, but I have a few cards that I want to acquire. And so if you're really into, what's going on with vintage and you're trying to figure out your next move, folks, including Chris Coe, are always talking about the pop report and comparing that to modern. And to be fair, like our friend Gary Vee is talking about, hey, I really like these like regional issues or food issues where they didn't make a lot of them. And it's like the alternative rookie of Pat Riley, like the Jack in the Box, all sorts of really cool stuff. Chris Coe, the quote of the show, you had to be a data.
Yeah.
I like that.
We're new Facebook friends, and I've got a couple people working on the baseball side that are a lot like Chris. So when I see a post from him and there's a graph on there or a chart, I'm thinking it's one of my guys from Fantastic. So
yeah, no, it's
I'm
great.
used to data posts. Yeah.
What's really cool, Lou, is that like when Chris and I are chatting about it, listen, I've been around this game for a while. I really understand it, but like I love being presented the data in a different way.
Yep.
And we're thinking about it in a different way. It's really fun. So the next card I'm going to show off I'm not necessarily targeting this player. I want to take off the plastic. I'm not necessarily targeting this issue. It is more of the manufacturer, and you'll see what I mean in just a minute. I myself think it's a beauty, but also I really enjoy the rarity of it. And, I collected, basically this growing up, but in a different sport. You'll see what I mean right now. So I recently purchased a 1965 O-Pee-Chee Roberto Clemente. Not a Topps. It looks almost exactly the same. The backs are a little different. Now, I don't have a 65 Topps near me, but you can see just a little bit different. But the Pops, Lou, the population report, for those that are listening, and when I say pop, don't necessarily know what that is right away, the population report, forget about the 8 on the Clemente. It's minuscule on O-Pee-Chee baseball. Now, I'm not suggesting that O-Pee-Chee baseball, Lou, or Chris, has the same demand as Topps. So that I'm not saying that at all.
Right.
But when I can find, and this is kind of like, this was my barometer. In some cases, the O-Pee-Chee cards were the same or similar priced to the Topps, but yet infinitely more difficult to find.
Yeah.
So in the last 10 days, hopefully Julie's not listening, I spent thousands of dollars on O-Pee-Chee baseball. Not from 1965, Lou, but buying choice pieces. And to be fair, doing my research and trying not to overpay, but the problem is there's very limited data.
Right. So why would they be the same price when this is basically the hobby is a supply and demand situation? It's just a matter of Topps is more desirable because it's Topps.
And it's more widely known.
Yeah. But
I think that if people understood the rarity of it, along with the cards are basically the same.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I'm not touting this as an investment. I just bought this for myself, right, and I'm having full disclosure here. However, whatever I paid for it, $1,000 and change, I could see this card being worth $5,000 plus, one day. Is it going to take the rest of my life? It could happen in 3 weeks in this card market. Who knows?
Yep.
No, I'm not suggesting O-Pee-Chee is getting a lot of steam. That's not. I don't want to I don't want to misspeak at all. I think it's really, really important. Thank you very much, Chris. I just think that, Lou, for me, right, I'm a card nerd. I've always loved the 65 Clemente. My point is, why would I buy a boring Topps?
Yeah.
Like, I'll look up on eBay right now. I don't even know if there is an 8. Well, I know there's no more O-Pee-Chee because I bought it. But there's really not that many even. And that's what's so interesting, too. So if you look at 65 O-Pee-Chee Clemente, my computer was I'm not really sure what's going on. It's actually
the way it's going today. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I'm being a little gentle with it. So put it this way, Lou. The 1965 O-Pee-Chee Clemente, and I'm including like the leader card and a team card, there's 12 total cards available on eBay, okay?
Yep.
Now I'm going to look up the 1965 Topps version of the Clemente. Once again, just like I'm not going to filter out any searches. There's 187 of them.
Wow.
So just by that math alone, it's 17 to 17 and a half more times difficult to get just based on the current supply, right?
Right.
So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look up that same Clemente in Topps and let you know, okay, so this was nuts to me. This is why I pulled the trigger. So right now on eBay, you can buy an 8 for $1,300, $1,475, or $1,550. I believe I paid that or a little bit less. You can check the record because I just bought it not that long ago. I don't remember what I paid. But the point is that I really enjoy the card. I have no plan to sell it. I think it has upside. And if it doesn't, Lou, in my own mind, how much worse can this card be than a Topps PSA 8?
Right.
So now Chris is sharing some data in here. Oh, wow. So this is pretty nuts. So Chris is saying in 1954, baseball in the Pop Report, there's 20 different sets. In 2019, there was 1,039 sets.
Wow.
In 1980, there was 6 different sets, and in 2019, there's 562. So one of the things that I take away from that data, Chris, and thanks for providing that, is clearly there's a lot more different sets made than there were back then. I mean, that's fairly obvious. We didn't need the Pop Report for that. But I would say if you are into modern cards and you're collecting, let's say, the Zions or the Jazz, or in baseball, the Acuñas or the Sotos, or in hockey, McDavid, right?
Yep.
You know, or in football, any of the young quarterbacks like Mahomes, you know, etc. The thing is, Lou, you can either go straight and narrow and say, hey, what's the most desirable? And I'm going to go with that, which I don't think there's anything wrong with.
Right.
But what I really like, and this is the difference, Chris, between vintage and modern, if I want a Roberto Clemente card from 1965, what's up, Gary? I'm very, very limited on my choices. That's actually why I dig that there's an O-Pee-Chee, right? Yep. Because there's really only a few. Whereas if I want to buy a Ja Morant rookie from 2019, there's a ton of choices. But to me, it's like the challenge of and nerding out on, forget about the data, Chris. Maybe I'm just going to focus on, hey, this is my budget. This is what I had to spend on the card. And I'm going to try to get, forget about like the mainstream card of it. In other words, the Prism version of the Ja Morant. I'm going to try to get the coolest looking card for the same kind of money. And to be fair, what I really like is it didn't always work like this in our industry. Good looking cards didn't always mean that they were in demand and worth money. But now, as our industry becomes more widespread and widely known, and it's becoming more comparable to art, I really dig the fact that if I like a card, because aesthetically it just pleases me, if you will.
Right.
Chances are it's going to be aesthetically pleasing to someone else as well.
That's right. And it just gives people an alternative if they don't want to go for the big price cards, or, you know, that's a nice little alternative if you want a Roberto Clemente card and can't afford some of the bigger ticket items or any of the 65 tops.
Hey, what's up, Harry? What's going on, Jason? Totally agree with you. Also want you to keep in mind, this works beautifully even at the lower level. So what I want to tell everyone is, and I was going to do this, I'm going to do this next week, Lou, as part of next week's show. Tune in next week. It's going to be great. I'm going to buy a few cards live on the show from eBay to show people like what I'm buying for myself. I thought that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, we're going to have to show you how to share screens over there. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to try to do it from the office so I can have J5 to help. So this was another one that was a no-brainer for me, right? So a 1967 Topps mantle. Let me pull this up. And once again, folks, I did buy this card, so for full disclosure, I'm not sitting on a lot of them, but I want everyone to know what the deal is. So 67 Topps 150, the Mickey Mantle, there's approximately 139 on eBay between auction and fixed price, okay?
Yep.
Now, if I look up the 67 O-Pee-Chee Mantle, there's precisely 4, okay?
Yeah.
I bought, well, there was 5 earlier today, but I bought a PSA 4. So I'll tell you what did it in for me, Lou. When I saw that I could buy a PSA 4, right? I didn't want the 1. I didn't want to buy a PSA 8 OC. I don't like qualifiers, and I wasn't going to buy the 8 for 10 grand.
Right.
When I saw a PSA 4 of a 67 O-Pee-Chee Mantle for basically the same price as the Topps, and there was only 5 O-Pee-Chee Mantles available versus 139 of the Topps, it was a no-brainer for me. Now, once again, guys, hear me out. I'm not planning to sell these in the near future. So this is not a short-term play. I'm not telling you I have the crystal ball that I know, what's going to happen to O-Pee-Chee. This is my take on it, my hot take.
Yep.
O-Pee-Chee is a brand name that's extremely hot right now in hockey.
Yeah.
Because Gretzky and Lemieux rookies are out of control. Vintage O-Pee-Chee hockey's always been great. But O-Pee-Chee baseball, people have never really talked about because there's not that much supply. But when you have guys like Gary Vee tweeting, I wouldn't say constantly, but more of like every, let's say, few months, a couple times a year, hey, I really dig this issue because it's not easy to find, and they didn't make a lot of them. Well, O-Pee-Chee baseball screams that. But what I really like is, Lou, it has the legacy of still being around today, meaning it was still produced in the 70s and 80s.
Right.
Upper Deck actually made O-Pee-Chee this. Topps does things with O-Pee-Chee. And so, like, O-Pee-Chee's very much on the minds of collectors. And, I mean, for whatever it's worth, I really did dig the fact that 65 O-Pee-Chee was the first year. So, no, it's not a Clemente rookie, but it is the first year Clemente base card, and I really like it.
And all it's going to take is a celebrity endorsement. With the hobby the way it is right now, all it's going to take is a high-profile endorsement of the brand, and then people are just going to jump on it.
Yeah, no, listen, absolutely. Hey, Bobby B from north of the border, you tell us about O-Pee-Chee baseball. Eye appeal values are now exceeding one real form. Interesting. Chris, definitely. So eye appeal values are now exceeding one full grade higher and growing for Hall of Fame players like Mays. Totally. By the way, folks, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to buy one of the 269 O-Pee-Chee Mays that are on eBay. There's a 7 and a 6. You have dibs right now. If you buy it, just tell me. Like, I'm all for the hobby love. I just want to know who's an O-Pee-Chee buddy with me. But I asked the guy if they would do better on both because I just have to ask.
Yeah.
And the guy, he told me $15 off on the cheaper one. And I'm just going to I'll probably go for the better one unless Crisco snags it from underneath me,
There you go.
All right, so that was it on a little O-Pee-Chee baseball. 87 O-Pee-Chee baseball is nuts. What's up, AB?
Rand's talking about this Bowman Jackie Robinson card, but he had a question earlier on because it's tax season. Any tips for collectors in terms of tax?
I'm not an accountant. I would say talk to your accountant.
Yeah.
I generally file for an extension because I just have a lot going on, both business and personally. So, what I would say is if you have a lot of gains that you've made, try to sell off some things that you're going to have lost on, maybe like a piece of memorabilia that you're upside down on, or to be fair, make a donation and try to give some stuff away of substance and just get a receipt for it and talk to your accountant how to do that properly. Now,
I'm not an accountant either, but I did a show with a financial advisor earlier in the week, and they were talking about day trading on the market. And there's after a certain point, you become a trader. And one of the advantages of becoming a trader is you get to deduct business expenses as a
Interesting.
trader. Yeah. So I'm wondering if there's anything similar if you reach a certain level of card collecting and exchanging cards, where all of a sudden some of the costs that are involved in it become deductible. But that's
a great question, Lou. We'll have to find out. Shout out to someone here who lives in London, Ontario, in Canada. Gus, that's where he said O-Pee-Chee was from, the factory. So I did a buy show in London, Ontario in my 20s. Man, that was it was awesome. It was just like being in the country. It really was. And it wasn't that long ago. Dom, definitely, if you end up selling any of your O-Pee-Chees, please let me know. I'm really into it. There you go. Crisco's definitely right. You could set up like a sole proprietorship, and make sure you at least keep track of your expenses and deduct your expenses.
Yep.
Your printer, your computer, your trip to the card shop, whatever the case may be, supplies, so on and so forth.
Yep.
But speaking of Jackie Robinson, I was fortunate enough for the company to buy a gorgeous Jackie earlier this week. Maybe I'll put it on the main screen.
Yep.
1949 Bowman Jackie Robinson PSA 5. Great eye appeal. Not sure what I'm going to do with this beauty yet.
Beautiful. Yeah.
But I just love it. Now, if I didn't have another, I definitely wouldn't think about selling it. But I do have another. And there's a lot of things on my wish list. And as I just revealed to my lovely wife, Julie, and many others, I've spent thousands of dollars on O-Pee-Chee baseball the last 10 days. So I got to do something, Lou.
Stop saying it.
Yeah.
She's in the house.
Yeah, I know she is. She's actually just right under. Crisco just helped me solve my problem. I can sell it to him.
Yep, there you go.
Anyway, really excited about that. Folks, for those of you who don't know, I also run justcollect.com. You could check us out. We offer free appraisals. We bought and sold well over $30 million of cards, in the dozen or 15 years or so we've been in business. And we love it. Working on several big deals right now, one of them being a wax deal I'm going to talk about in just a minute.
Ooh, nice.
I'm excited about that. But I did want to give a special shout out to my friend Ken Golden and Golden Auctions. I don't know, for those of you who are not on Instagram or didn't see the news, big hobby news was just announced that I'm looking for the, so I can show it off here. They just announced that they have here it is, $40 million investment into the company from the likes of, get ready for this, folks, Mark Cuban, Kevin Durant, Rich Kleinman, let's see, Mark Wahlberg, Bill Simmons, Deshaun Watson, Dwayne Wade, Timbaland Mosley, as a producer.
Yep.
I didn't know this person before. Christian Ostalian, he was the VP product at YouTube. He was also the entrepreneur. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought there was someone else who created like a really big Logan Paul, and then of course the Cheerning Group as well, which is widely known for making some really amazing investments like Barstool Sports,
yep.
the Action Network. And so what does it mean for the hobby? It certainly means great stuff for Golden Auctions, but I think much more than that, it means great stuff for the hobby. It means, Nick, great point. It means new investors. It means more awareness. Something that I wanted to point out, and I know that Ken's been talking about this. He has his own Instagram Live in just a little bit. You can check him out, Ken Golden, on IG. What's going on in the hobby. I was talking with J5 in the office about this. So when Ken Golden makes news, great for business, right?
Right.
When other auction houses make news, great for business for them. But what's happening is, hey, if we get an article in a newspaper on a website, great for us, right? Good for business, I mean. However, what's happening is when these mainstream articles are coming out from CNN about the wave of what's going on in the hobby. What's up, Chef Raisky? Lou, what's in effect happening is that they're providing a ton of free awareness, free advertising to our industry, and ultimately, and this is what I told J5, because J5 thought it was his mustache. Like, he really did. He thought, like, wow, people are really calling us more now because, like, I'm a good-looking guy.
That's right.
And I said, J5, like, I'm sure, Jade's very happy, right? But, like, you got to understand, they can't see you when they're doing their research on the internet. They're not all watching the show. I mean, I really burst his bubble. It's terrible. But what's going on, Lou, is that they call it the rising tides lift all boats, but I wanted to be a little bit more clear. So because CNN and then Wall Street Journal picks it up, and then Fox News picks it up, or CNBC, whatever the case is, there's a ton of additional awareness being brought to the space. And then those people have questions. The first place they go to when they have questions is their neighbor, is their fellow buddy who collects, like Darren Ravel, right? Fellow nerd, etc. But undoubtedly, and the biggest answer is, they go to the internet. And when you Google, how do I sell my baseball cards? Or some derivative of that.
Right.
Just Collect comes up 1, 2, or 3 generally in most places you're searching. The amount of interest that we've had of people contacting us is off the charts right now. I've never seen anything like this. And just to be clear, I'm not suggesting that the sky is falling and that's why folks are selling. But when things are going up 4x, 10x, 12x in 3 weeks, or in 3 months, or in a year, or less than a year, that's why I'm not saying baseball cards. I am now. You would be a fool to at least not look at what you have.
Right.
If you were sitting on furniture, a painting, an old toy, whatever the case is, if someone told you that sector was on fire, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm making this up. My old collectible Post-it pad that used to be worth $10 is now worth $1,000? Huh? Really? I might want to sell that.
Waiter?
Exactly. So that's what's going on, Lou. I got people, I met with someone who had 4 Michael Jordan rookies. I'm great. They're all legit. That was just one person.
Yep.
So what's going on is people want to know what they have, Lou. Some are selling, some are taking a little money off the table, and others are just, hey, man, I want to understand what I have.
I also think the bigger picture here is, and I know what this is going to sound like, but for a lot of the economy, people would look at card collecting as, you just said it, nerds, people in their mother's basement in this little back room type of economy of things going back and forth on eBay and things like that. Money coming into this, the way it's been coming in, makes this a legitimate business sector. And so people who aren't necessarily into the collecting side look at it as a business venture, much like they look at any other form of collecting, whether it be art, whether it be wine, whether it be anything. It's gone beyond now that backroom economy. It's a legitimate business sector right now.
It's wild, man. I talked to a gentleman from Fanatics earlier today, like a higher up level exec, and they're a big business. He just wanted to know about his baseball cards, like childhood baseball cards. He was referred to me from Darren. And he just, like he said, can't believe what's going on. And I said, you got to understand. And I wanted to share this with everyone for a minute. I graduated Rutgers College in 2000. Okay. I'm not going to take everyone through, my story. I've talked about it several times. We can, maybe do it, over this summer or later this year when there's a big national or something like that. Exactly. No longer nerds. Yeah. But when I graduated in 2000, Lou, I remember I graduated the business school at Rutgers. I was fortunate enough to put myself through school, so that allowed me to have, some different options when I was done, meaning I didn't have to take a job because like mom and dad thought I should, kind of thing, yep. Right? But to think about where we are, and I understand 20 years is a long time, but yet in the scheme of things, like not really, right?
Yep.
If you would have said to someone in 2000 that 20 to 21 years later, the business is going to be a multi-billion-dollar industry, my father would have thought you were on some serious drugs. He may have even called the police and thought that you would have been so unwell that you should really be brought to an institution.
But this is the way of the world. What if someone had told you 20 years ago what Bitcoin would be worth today? Fictitious, basically at the time, 20 years ago, would have been thought of as a fantasy currency.
Correct.
Like, no legitimacy whatsoever. And here we are.
It is really wild, Lou. Very grateful for the, opportunity to work in, a space such as baseball cards that I love so much. That is as hot as it is at the moment.
I know, and it's exciting times, and really, you would think that with all this money coming in, and there was some talk, people rushing in to sell off their cards, like you talked about, maybe that tempers this a little bit. I don't know. Right now, it seems really hot.
It is. So I got a few other things I wanted to cover for today. The first one is I want to talk about next week. Mm-hmm. So next week, we're going to try a few different things. Lou will set up the technology, but I want to make it kind of multi-tiered, Lou. So in other words, we're going to have a few people on live.
Yep.
I'd like them to show their card, and they're going to either have the option to just tell us how much they want to sell it for, or do a deal or no deal, and we'll take a couple minutes throughout the course of the rest of the show. It'll all shut off at 5:30. Mm-hmm. So the reason why I'd like to do both is because if you tell someone a price for your card, I look at that as a first come, first serve. So if Chris Coe comes on here and he says he's got a card for $500 and Matty Townsend wants it, what I like is we just hook them up. They just did a deal. We, as Leighton's Loft and Vintage Breaks and Just Collect platform, like we're looking to hook people up together. We don't want to charge them anything for it.
Right.
And we just want to show people that we feel like in a short period of time. Now, listen, I'm happy to buy as well, but I'm going to try not to be the first person to act, unless, of course, you have something that I really want, and then it's all bets are off.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, next week, what I'd like to do is have a few people, if you could, in our community, take some graded cards or a graded card, just a single one out of your collection, but something that's at least north of, I don't know, $200.
Okay.
And we'd like to give you the option to either offer it for sale at a certain price, first come, first serve on Leighton's Loft next week. And I'd also like to do a few where we're going to do deal or no deal. So once again, if you bring out probably a more expensive card, like a few $1,000 card, you're going to have the opportunity to say, hey, I'll offer $900. And then Chris Coe's going to say no deal. And then I might say, I'll give $1,000. Chris Coe's going to say, you're getting warmer. And so I think that'll be a really fun way to interact next week. What do you think, Lou?
Do you want to do it just like a live call-in show, or should we put a post up and try to pre-screen a half dozen products?
Lou, I got to tell you, I like that a lot better. What I'd like to do is, if you don't mind, and you could, I think you have access to both, why don't you do it on VB and Leighton's Loft?
Yep.
So you can get some basically cross-pollination, if you will. And then you're right. Let's really try to set us up for success. Let's say if you go for a half dozen, 3 folks I'd like to be able to just write in the chat. They don't even have to call in. they're going to say, I have this card for sale. This is the price. And you'll just respond either, via chat, or if you're calling in to let us know if you're going to buy it. And then I'd also like to have a few people on live, and a combination of, like I said, deal or no deal and direct price for sale.
Yeah, the comment section, if listeners want to buy from each other, they're going to have to kind of wrangle that themselves, because that's going to be difficult with a couple of people going on. But we'll see if we'll put a note out this week, and if any of you guys head out there, again, a card north of 200, let's do that as the cutoff. And
I was going to say 500, but I know that not everyone necessarily has a $500 card, and I want to be able, like, $50 is too cheap, but I think $200 is like a nice amount. You can still come with a $1,000 card. It's okay. We'd like to have different price points, Lou, if that's possible.
Sure. And I'll put the note out, and people can respond with their card, and then you and I will look them over, and we'll send out notes with the link so that people can come on live during the show next week and, put the card up.
Yep, Ken, they do have to be graded. Absolutely. I prefer them to be vintage, but if you want them to be modern, it's okay. And once again, we're going to work with Lou and the gang to pre-screen you. And the whole point of this, folks, is twofold. We want to have some fun, and we would like to connect a few buyers and sellers. You'll save some points. Hopefully you'll walk away from the show with either a new card or some money in your pocket. And for me, Lou, you bet your bottom dollar I'm bringing something to sell, because this is what's going to happen. I'm definitely going to buy something.
Yep.
And I've already said at least twice, and now for the third time, I bought a few O-Pee-Chee baseball cards in the last few weeks. I'd like to maybe offset that if I could.
Yep. And we'll start this thread, and if it hits really big, if we got a lot of people, we won't be able to fit in next week. We get another week's show. We can do this back-to-back for a couple weeks.
Absolutely. Anthony, good question. Excuse me. Should the bidding be limited to VB registered members? What I would say is I'm trying to keep this fun, right? So I don't want to say to someone, hey, if you've never bought from Vintage Breaks before, well, you're not allowed to buy. What I would say is, please, if you're going to participate, be sincere and follow through with the transaction, because obviously this does not work if people do not have good intentions. But Anthony, I don't want to make it like a shameless plug, like, hey, you got to be registered for Vintage Breaks and you got to be buying from us in order to participate. No, this is about for the hobby love, for the good of the hobby.
And it's free to register, and it just gives us contact information, so we don't have to chase people around for people, because you know what's going to happen. Harry, I love this idea. We got to work on this too. This is we're starting.
Well, very much so. What I'd like to do, Harry, is if all goes well, and that's why I'm willing to put in a little time, Lou, to think about how we're going to execute it next week. I think it should actually be part of the Vintage Breaks weekly show.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Jeff. Somebody's saying his dog howls when she hears me. I don't know what's going on there, but
well, I mean, I'm not sure, Jeff, but hopefully all is okay.
Yeah, so we can do this. We can work it into a regular feature if we need to. But yeah, this is great. I love this idea. So all of you guys watching today, watch for the post on Vintage Breaks and on Leighton's Loft, and get involved and just put a comment up. And someone, myself or J5 or Leighton, will reach out to you, and we'll get you set up to be on the show next week. And if it hits really big, we'll do it a couple weeks in a row.
Absolutely. I've seen some other folks do different variations. What's very popular, let's say like on Twitter or Facebook, and even in our Vintage Breaks Buy Sell Trade group, is people put up, a card for sale at a fixed price. And what it is to me is it's cool, but it's like what's up, Eric? It's very one-dimensional. So in other words, Lou, like, what if I put up a card for sale and then I'm mowing my lawn and I'm doing something with Crosby, and 7 hours later I get to it? Like, I don't feel any need to look right away.
Right.
And I could understand why that would upset someone, because someone else on the other side is, hey, like, are you going to sell me your card?
Yeah.
The other day, this just happened to me, actually. So it was a 93 SP Jeter. I'm trying to, like, touch upon all these different platforms. So sometimes I'm buying a card because I want it for myself. Sometimes I'm buying a card because I think I can make money for either Vintage Breaks or just collect. Other times, candidly, gang, I'm just buying a card because I think it's a good thing to do, to buy the card. And even if I break even or lose a few bucks, I just like to, spread business around, if you will. So I'm in this Facebook group, which seems pretty popular. I'm like, oh, this guy's got a decent price on a Jeter. But then he says something about, hey, if you buy all these cards, we'll give you a better deal. So I simply say in the chat, in the group, Lou, hey, if you don't sell the group, I didn't like negotiate. I said I'd buy the Jeter, right?
Right.
So I guess the guy didn't sell it, and he sends me a Facebook message, which apparently I missed the first one, and he sends me another one wasn't like mean or anything. It was just like, hey man, are you gonna get back to me? I'm like, I don't even know who you are.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
You know, they're trying to be rude. Like who are you?
And
you know,
messages when you're not friends, it gets kind of.
Well, yes, and so that's what I was trying to explain to him. I said, could you do me a favor? Could you like send me a screenshot of even what you're talking about? No offense, like I don't necessarily want to like send you $1,300. I don't even know who you are.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at 100 cards a week, and this guy thinks you remember this particular transaction.
So what I thought he did was really good. He said, "Hey, I'll retag you or I'll reply to the thing." But this is my point I was getting to. How inefficient is that?
Yep.
Like eBay to me, I don't love eBay. You pay a lot. It's okay, right? I run a business, what I do for a living. So like it's a necessary evil, but I don't use it as much as I used to because I don't have to, thankfully, knock on wood, right? Yep. But like when it comes to this stuff, I just feel like posting in Facebook groups is very static. It's very one-dimensional. Whereas, Lou, I can tell you that next week at 4:30, if we have 6 people, I'm making it up, lined up, 3 live, 3 in the chat, chances are we're going to have 3 to 6 transactions done by 5:30.
Yep.
And you know what you're going, and it's fun, and you're interacting with the show. So that's what I wanted to do.
It's like an auction. It's a qualified audience. People are there interested, looking at these things. We got to see if we can pull a celebrity.
That would be cool. Hey, Mike Pitts or anyone else, if you know people that kind of do something like this and you have an idea, please drop me a line, Lou. If you want to put up my email again, Leighton@justcollect.com. Really appreciate everyone's feedback. I'd say I get a weekly email from Russ, but I appreciate that, Russ, very much. It means you're thinking about our brand and our business. And so, next week will not be the last time we do this. I'm trying to make it part of Vintage Breaks programming moving forward. Or to be fair, maybe it'll be something Just Collect related, or it'll always be in the Loft. Who knows? Yep. It just seems fun to me.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. But what we need to make this work is we need the audience to participate, and we need the audience to get involved in it as well.
We do, and my guess is I don't want to invite them next week, Lou, but in a few weeks' time, when we have this down a little bit, you talk about celeb. Now, my wife likes to say I'm like a D to an E-list celebrity because like when I talk about stuff,
yep.
It's like just too much. I can't even get to the whole thing. I said, you don't understand. Billy Vaughn is better known than Leighton is. I'm trying to explain to her, about the whole Vince Vaughn thing, and she, thinks it's hysterical. So anyway, thank you, Michael. So anyway, what I'd like to do is I'd like to have Ravel on, and Darren, if he comes on here and digs it,
yep.
I could see him doing this weekly with us, or doing as part of the Action Network, whatever the case is. People like content, and if it's fun and it's live,
yep.
I think it'll be fun.
I think it'd be great, and the whole thing is to get people to talk, talking about the hobby and getting people to talk to each other in a more personalized format than eBay, for example. Or
absolutely. So one of the things, Harry, I'm happy to talk about it live. This is how I am. Try to wear my heart in my sleeve here. So I haven't necessarily thought about a consignment store, but I'll tell you what I have thought about. I've thought about doing an annual auction, with 2021 being the first year ever that we would do one. The reason being is this. My good friends, by the way, I have tons of friends at all these auction houses. So this is not, we would be starting one because we think we're going to be bigger than Golden or we're going to be bigger than Heritage.
Yeah.
It's just about, hey, how does it complement our business? Does it solve problems of users? And so I'm thinking that we have a lot of people, of course, in our Vintage Breaks community and the Just Collect community. So if I could figure out a way that's efficient, what I'd like to do, Harry, is I'd like to run an annual auction. Now, you can say annual, like it's not really that efficient. Well, that's the point. If it's annual, I'm going to know the dates well ahead of time. I'm never going to be chasing myself. I don't feel the pressure of, hey, if we run an auction, we got to run another one the week after. I don't want to do that. I want to make it fun, something that people look forward to. And to be fair, my buddy Brian, who runs REA, like they started off their business as an annual auction. And for years, like that's what they were known as, like, you got to go check out REA because it's only once a year.
Right. Yeah.
So I'd love for that to return once again, different level. But I'll have my own stuff in there. We have customer stuff in there. But it's still in the early stages.
Like lots of things, right? We got to get past 2020 and into 2021 and get things settled a little bit, and then keep moving forward. Exactly.
It does take a lot of work. So I want to talk about this wax deal, Oh yeah, no, we're gonna do that again, Tom. Just very busy around here, so it's tough to. We run these Just Collect auctions on eBay, like 99-cent auctions on our second eBay account, Just Collect Cards. We typically run like 500 to 1,000 cards or more. It could literally be anything from a T206 to a 1980 Ricky Henderson. Everything's ungraded. Stuff is poor, mint. Nothing's like gem mint. We're not putting anything on there that we would like grade per se. And the stuff sells for like $5 to $100, and people love it.
I love Ricky Henderson. That'd be fun.
Yeah, it would be. So anyway, folks, with a few minutes left, I want to tell you about this wax deal I'm working on. Gentleman, let's just say he's got a lot of stuff. Knows exactly what he has. So there's no angle. He didn't find it in his basement.
Yep.
He may have bought some of it right, but nonetheless, it doesn't matter. There's no angle. So what he wants me to do is to go through and figure out effectively. Sorry, I was looking at the comments here. To go through and effectively figure out the value of what I think it's worth, and then what I would pay for it. And the issue is, the stuff doesn't trade that much. Is the last auction price the right price? And so I'm really enjoying it, but it's like giving me agita because I really want to get the deal, but yet I don't want to overpay.
Right.
But yet if I don't value it right and I try to underpay, I won't get the deal. So what I'm getting to is, and I do love wax, graded cards, when they're traded often, is a lot easier to value.
Right.
But, if a 1972 Topps basketball box doesn't trade very often, someone can say, hey, well, it just sold for this. I'm making it up $25,000 2 months ago, but yet it hasn't sold. I think it's worth $35,000.
Yep.
And so you could say to the guy, no, tell him it's only worth $25,000, and you base your offer off of that. But if he doesn't agree with you, you're just not going to do a deal. So I'm excited a little, but also a little stressed.
Yeah, because there's so much unknown. Plus, it's all small sample data, right? There's nothing really to work off of.
Exactly.
Oh, I said data again, so Chris, I'll get Chris going.
What's up, Richard? So with a few minutes left, before we give away our 7 prizes this week, a little ode to Michael Jordan. Happy birthday, Sir MJ. I wanted to show off some of my star basketball MJs, which apparently I'm going to have to get graded. Some other star as well in here. But, star basketball is just on fire these days. Okay.
Any Spanish in here this week?
Not that I know of. This is my favorite star Jordan besides his rookie. I love the Gatorade Jordan.
Yeah.
It's a slam dunk Jordan. '85 Rookie of the Year. I think that's from the '84 Star set. Yeah, that's a good card right now. I gotta get these graded. Chris, he has almost no non-sports, which was upsetting to me. The gold medalist card, which by the way has picked up a lot of steam in recent years, Lou. And the main reason being is that it's his first Olympic. I'm not saying it's his Olympic rookie, but people get a little crazy.
Yep.
Barkley rookie.
MJ's 58th birthday today.
Yep. Stockton rookie. The Dream rookie. And then I do dig this.
Look at that, huh?
I remember Gatorade gum, Chris. Yeah, I like this card.
Yeah. Are oversized cards tough though?
Yeah, they weren't easy for people to take care of, Lou, which is why they're tough to find in nice shape. All right, so we got just a minute or two left here on the show. Dougie, I'm going to roll the dice so that we can pick our 7 winners right now. Oh, okay. So,
Dougie, you with us?
Yes, I am.
Three times in the randomizer. I hear J5 doing deals, Dougie.
That's all he does.
It's insane. We've had no choice but to put him in a bubble, and the guy has to talk to people all day long.
If he's not doing deals, he's prepping his hair. But
Yeah.
All right. So 3 on the random.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Wow, Dougie, do they still have Gatorade gum out there? I would love some.
I don't know, but if they do, I definitely would eat it.
Yeah,
1, 2, and 3. All right, top 7. Ben DeSilva gets the Gary Carter card. Robert Harper gets the $25 break credit. Todd Corpora, Joseph Hoysock, they both get BAM spots. Cody Cheek Billy Hansen, Nick Mariachi, they both get $10 break credits.
Very nice.
Awesome. Gang, don't forget our big event is now live at event.vintagebreaks.com. You can find out all the details there. And it ends on February 28th at 10 o'clock. It is usually must-see YouTube TV.
And watch this week on Vintage Breaks, Leighton's Loft, for a post about if you want to sell a card next week on our show, or email Leighton at Just Collect. We'll pick out a half a dozen cards to be sold live on the show next week. And again, if we get more response, we'll split it up and do a couple weeks.
Absolutely. I love, Lou, as we're closing it out here, I feel like it's the floor of the exchange. Like J5's talking, the phone's ringing. I can't even hear the guy when I call anymore. If I'm not in the office, there's too much going on.
Yeah, J5, he's working hard. Everybody's working hard back at the office. So what are you doing? You're not at the office.
I know. I don't know.
We're busy every day.
Yes, we are. Dougie. Well, I'm coming in on Saturday again. Another Saturday special, baby. Got another deal lined up.
Nice.
So I'll show everyone after we purchase it on Saturday.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
See you in a few minutes, guys.
Okay, if you have the facts,